What's up, guys? RotoZap here, and I am back. Sort of, but not. I mean, I am back. I'm definitely back. I'm in my home right now, but as you can see by the top left corner, I do not have a membership still. I just went back to work this week. I'm getting that cash so that I can have that Wiz membership. You already know how it'd be. But in the meantime, KingsIsle put out a very interesting producer's letter the other day. And in it, they did something that I have not seen them do in the 10 or 11 years that I have been playing this game. They admitted that PvP is a little broken right now. It's a little broke. You know, there's a lot going on with PvP right now that is really not great. So, what exactly did they say was wrong with it? Well, number one, they gave justification for why they tried to do that thing where they eliminated TC and then everyone in the community had a stroke and then they undid it. They explained that they were just trying to limit TC usage in PvE and stuff because they don't like how many people are just spamming TC and stuff. And the other thing that they said was that they're trying to eliminate the randomness and aspects of PvP that do not translate well from PvE from the game. Now, they did say as well that, you know, KingsIsle holds Wizard101 to be a PvE game first, but they like to recognize the fact that, you know, PvP is still a very vibrant and active community within this game. And, you know, I think they're really right about that. I mean, technically, yeah, it is a PvE game first. I only play it for the PvE. Oh, wait, what? No, I think I'm getting my PVs mixed up here. I think it's definitely a PvE game first, but I really only play it for PvP. The pop filter's putting in work. No, but actually, though, no, so really, I agree with what they're saying here. And I'm just happy that they're acknowledging that there's an issue. So with this video, I'm hoping to get some ideas out there because I think that everyone that has even the slightest voice in this community needs to be vocal right now more than ever about changes they want to see made because KingsIsle is being very transparent, they're being very open, and they're actually listening to what people have to say. So why not just try and get your voice out there, try and get ideas going. That's the whole point of this video. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So the very first point that I have for PvP, how can we fix it here, is concerning treasure cards. And this is kind of a middle of the road compromise between what PvP players want and kind of what KingsIsle has envisioned. Even though this is going to sound like a pretty radical idea, please just, before you angrily type in the comments, this is ridiculous, hear me out. What if treasure cards in PvP were non-consumed, meaning when you use them in a PvP match, they did not get destroyed, they do not disappear, they stay within your side deck, and treasure cards are only consumed when being used in PvE. This would solve a lot of issues, okay? Because then players would only need to have maybe 5 to 8 of each of their favorite hits enchanted and ready to go in their side deck. And, you know, when they use them in PvP, that's fine. And that way, when they do use them in PvE, they're consumed and not as many are getting used. And obviously, they could place more limits on treasure cards than are currently in place if they don't want more being used. I personally don't see why they want more or like why they care at all that a lot of treasure cards are used in PvE. But, you know, I'm just trying to make both parties happy here. But this is a very interesting change too for PvP players because it also means that some of your more rare spells that you don't like to use very often because you don't want to risk just losing them for no reason, like, you know, Triage, Storm Beetle, Myth Banshee, Death Bat, etc. You know, now you can freely use them, and we can actually see some more strategy, more of these utility spells being used, because people aren't afraid to get rid of them. However, there is a very large caveat to everything that I am saying right now. I think that if we did do this, there definitely needs to be a ban on all retired spells from PvP. That means no Elucidates, no Simplify, no Dampen Magic, even though that one's already banned, no Life Bane. Am I missing any significant ones? I don't really know. but no retired spells, because that is such a pay to win thing if that were actually in the game. Like, I am an owner of some elucidates, okay? I could make use of this and take advantage of it. But even I'm saying that it wouldn't be fair for new players. Anyone that wasn't around when this spell was back, it it's not fair. You can't let people run around with elucidates in PvP, and then anyone that wants to get into PvP for the first time, because we really should be welcoming and promoting more members in the community for PvP. It's going to be very frustrating for them if if their opponents have such OP spells that there's no way that they can get. Because good luck getting that from the bazaar. And if you want to trade someone for it, well, you're going to have to give them like literally your firstborn child is what an elucidate cost. So, it's not possible for players that are brand new to the game to get spells like that. So that's why I think that it'd be kind of unfair to allow them. But anyway, that's all I've got to say about treasure cards. I think that that's a very radical change, but I think that it would actually be very beneficial to PvP if this were a thing, and it would kind of be a middle of the road compromise between what King's Isle wants and I think what the PvP community wants. But anyway, on to our next point here, which is the first and second issue in PvP. So when King's Isle talks about randomness in PvP, I think that they're referring to the first and second advantage within PvP. And it is actually a really big issue. At max level PvP, especially if your opponent's getting shadow pips, like, you can't win from second. It's completely unrealistic to expect to win from second if your opponent gets a lot of shadow pips. So that being said, how can we fix this? Well, first of all, shadow pips, I'm going to be talking about those in a hot minute, but there's something has to be done about shadow pips, namely. But in terms of just the first and second advantage, there's two plausible solutions that I can see to this that would help. And anyone that's actually been a part of the community for quite a while knows that a few years back, this same issue came to a boil, where people were complaining about the first and second advantage in PvP. And King's Isle did listen to an extent and made the brand new game mode in tournaments turn-based PvP. Yeah, there it is. Turn-based 1v1. Yeah. So when this was a really big issue, King's Isle was like, okay, we got you, fam. And then they made a turn-based mode in PvP, but only for tournaments. So one of the proposed solutions to this is to just implement turn-based into regular PvP. And, besides the fact that it makes PvP take a little bit longer, I really don't have any qualms with this. And also the handicap that's already in place for players going second, which is to get one extra power pip. I actually like this for turn-based because that's a reasonable handicap for someone going second in turn-based. It's really not even much of a, like, it's hardly anything in regular ranked PvP, but it means a lot more in turn-based. So that being said, I think that that's one of the really good solutions we have. The other one, of course, is a more interesting solution because I don't even know if it would really solve anything, but it would be alternating turns. So, for example, you have player A and B. A starts, then B goes, but coming into round 2, now B starts, and then A goes, and then going into round 3, A starts, then B goes. So technically, if you really think about it, each player is really taking 2 turns in a row. But on the other hand, they have to keep into mind that their opponent's going to get 2 turns. So they can't just abuse the fact that they're getting 2 turns, because they also have to prepare for the fact that they're going to be at the mercy of their opponent for 2 turns. So, that's just something interesting to consider when we're talking about this. So I feel like that would shake up PvP so much, though, that it really might not even be a great idea. But these are just the 2 solutions that I've either heard of or kind of come up with to help combat this. But really, that's all I've got to say about turn-based as well, is that there's real 2 solutions that I can see. I'd love to hear your guys' solutions in the comments, but I can really only see turn-based or alternating as a way to kind of spice things up and to take away the first advantage. So the next issue in PvP, and this relates to the PvE mechanics that do not translate well to PvP, shadow spells. I think that we need just a hard ban on shadow pips. You know, I keep seeing people trying to find ways to like weasel or worm in different ways that we could have shadow pips still work, but in reality, they just can't. You know, because as soon as we get shadow pips into the equation, it's not like getting power pips, because there's reasonable ways to, you know, there's reasonable ways to get 100% power pip chance, but there really isn't reasonable ways to, you know, get 100%. Like, that's not even possible. You know, shadow pips are completely luck based, and they turn the tide of the game. So we really just need them removed. And the other thing I've been hearing is that, you know, get rid of shadow transformation things like Shrike, and get rid of like just regular shadow spells like Gaze of Fate and FFA and stuff like that, but keep the shadow creatures like Dark Nova and stuff. And my issue with that is, you know, in a meta where only shadow creatures exist, which we actually have a reference point to look at the meta in that current state, because the last Awesome the Sauce, like Sauce and Staff Showdown, with I don't know how many players were in it, but quite a few, that was how the meta worked. It was shadow creatures were allowed, everything else was not. And what we saw from that was even just Dark Nova alone is pretty overpowered from first. So instead of trying to make it work by saying, well, only people going second can use Dark Nova, well, how about we just ban everything and call it there? PvP is a lot more interesting in the absence of shadow pips, so I would love to see them just get rid of them all. No workarounds, no trying to jerry-rig something in there. Just get rid of them all, please. Just abolish them. Get rid of them. The big shadow ban of 2019. Please, we need it. Honestly. But the very last change that, you know, it's kind of hard to tell, right? Because King's Isle was a little cryptic in what they were saying about what they were planning on changing with PvP. But this is an issue that I guess maybe they weren't directly referencing, but I want to talk about it anyway. And that is limiting certain spells in PvP. There's a lot of spells in this game that are way too powerful, and they need to be limited in some facet. Some very brief examples of this are Guardian Spirit, Lore Master, Burning Rampage. Spells like that all need to be limited in some way. They're just way too powerful in their current state. Especially Guardian Spirit, because Guardian Spirit is just a really annoying one to have to deal with at max when your opponent just keeps reviving over and over and over again. Guardian Spirit is supposed to be a second chance to win the game. It's not supposed to be a spammable and repeatable cycle. But anyway, I'm not going to go into like specific changes to specific spells, but I'm just saying that the problem exists and it needs to be solved in some sort of way. Obviously a nerf of some type to a lot of these really popular spells that are just honestly quite game breaking in PvP. But really, that's all I got to say. I don't know how long this video was. I was really trying to keep it brief for you guys. But yeah, no, we need a lot of changes in PvP. Get your voice heard. Get your voice out there. Let your favorite content creators know what changes you want to be seen, even if it's not relevant whatsoever to the video. Just make proposed PvP changes in their comment sections. They will have absolutely no idea what's going on, but that's fine, because there is a chance that a King's Isle employee will see it and pass it along. So get your voice out there. Let's start the Wiz Summer 2019 PvP Reformation Extravaganza. Let's get our voices heard. Let's get our voices out there. King's Isle has to listen if we all unite as a community. They did with the shadow, or not the, Jesus, no. They did with the TC Enchanted thing, okay? When everyone came together and was like, don't do that, King's Isle was like, we got you. So why can't we have this happen again? Again, Wizard101, 2019 Summer PvP Reformation. Let's get it. Rotozap out, guys. I'll see you later. I'll see you in the next PvP video. Rotozap out. Peace.